Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to today's Powerboost. Our topic today is when the rules change. When the rules change. One of the worst situations that you can be in is when you find yourself using the rules that have become obsolete in the game that you're playing. Because of course, every game has rules. And of course, if you are unaware of the changes and you are using rules that don't apply, then it means that your efforts to attain what you would consider to be a winning situation would, of course, not be possible. And I'm bringing this to our attention today because one way to look at life in a meaningful way is to see it as a game. And you've heard it said many times that we're playing this game of life. And of course, we are applying rules that we understand would allow us to be victorious. So the times that we're in now clearly indicates that the rules that used to apply no longer obtain. And for many of us, we're stuck in an old paradigm, and because we're not aware of it, we're at a loss as to why things don't seem to be working out. And so our power boost today is to bring our attention to what rules we are playing by that no longer applies. And the main reason that is happening is because we're at what I would call the end game. And of course, when the game or any game is coming to an end, it requires a lot of changes that would allow you to be victorious, whether it is in a situation, if you're a baseball fan and you are in the bottom of the ninth, then you are going to be in a situation where every second, every moment counts, every play counts. Or if a basketball game and you're the last 3 seconds of the fourth quarter, then you could understand why it would be important that you pay attention to every second. And I think that to use that analogy would better inform how we are being about the game of life, because everything indicates that we're at a point that we might consider the end game. And so when you are at that point, you really want to be very attentive, because every thought counts, every word counts, every act counts. And so you ought to be alert to what time it is, such that you can make the most of every moment. But unless you are in that frame of mind, in that awareness, you're going to be missing all of the opportunities to make the most out of every moment. So we can't be operating as if we have all of the time that you would normally have at the beginning or the middle, because we are at that time when we have to pay very close attention, because we might say that time is running out. And if you look around at all of the indices that measure the way things are, they're all in what you might say a crisis mode. And so you have to respond to that with alertness. And so what I am urging you to be doing today and every day is to be paying very close attention to your thoughts. And if you haven't been doing as much of that as you should have been, now is the time to start. Because what we have to do is recreate something new. And as you may have heard it said, when you're constructing a new building, every brick counts. The same goes for constructing a new you. And in doing so, every thought counts. And of course, the best way to manage your thinking such that your thoughts are elevated, so that your thoughts are constructive, so that your thoughts are positive and meaningful, is through Raja Yoga meditation. Because when you go within and have that experience of silence, it puts you in that space of timelessness, that eternal mode. And it is from there that you can think in a way that establishes and reforms all that you are and puts you in the right space, in the right future context that is needed. Because what we have to do at this stage is to rebuild. So it's the new you that has to emerge from the way you are thinking. And so the old thoughts, the old rules can no longer apply. And so what I'd like you to do for a moment is to stop and think, what is it about the way I am using my time that needs to change? What is the way that I am dealing with the relationships that I have that need to change? What needs to change with regard to how I am spending money? What needs to change with regard to how I am being attentive to my surroundings? And just with that short list, begin to reconstruct, begin to rebuild, begin to reassess, begin to start to put in reserve all that you would need so that the new you that is so needed at this time can be constructed and ready as this turn that we are in, this end game, allows you to have the kind of restart that would put you in the right space with the right rules, with the right function, with the right understanding for what is required in the changes that are necessary. And that is the most empowering way you can make use of your time today and every day. So let's, in the few moments that we have, just pause and go within and look and see what is it that is old that you need to make new. What is it that is in need of refinement? What skills need to be sharpened? What adjustments that you need to make? And as you do that, you begin to have the kind of thoughts that are constructive, that are reconstructive. You'll begin to take full responsibility for your own well-being, or put another way, to make your being well. As we go forward at what I'm sure you are beginning to realize seems to be an accelerated pace, how can you begin to manage this time, which you should consider as very, very important for you and for your loved ones? The opportunity here is to ascend, lest you find yourself in a continuing downward spiral, as so many others are experiencing. And so this empowerment that we're talking about rests with not only your willingness, but your determination to make the kind of changes that are necessary, such that you are not using old ways to deal with the new that we have to remake. And so make this day the turning point. Make this day your revolution. Make this day your moment of change. Om Shanti.